Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new episode of Entrepreneurship Lab. This is your host, Nevena Bajalac, welcoming you once again to the podcast where we help you grow and scale your business. And thank you for tuning in. And today we have a special guest coming to us from Las Vegas, Nevada. And his name is Michael Coxen. And Michael is not just an expert in sale, considering he sold over $150 million in real estate, but he's actually someone who is passionate about mindfulness, and he works in that space as a coach. He's going to share with us his background and how he shifted, how he started, built his careers, and many personal challenges and professional challenges he came through on his journey. Michael, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Navina, for having me. It's a pleasure.
So, Michael, tell us a little bit more about, obviously, you have amazing record of sales. We're going to get back to that. But where were you, as someone young, graduated, maybe from school, college? How did you start it? Did you always have this entrepreneurial mindset?
Mm.
Or, did you start it in real estate? Or what were your beginnings?
Sure. Yeah, definitely always had the entrepreneurial mindset. In high school, I started reading books on entrepreneurship and money management and real estate, even though I had $5 in my pocket. It was just something I knew I wanted to do. I'm creative, but I'm not an artist. So I liked creating business. I love startups. I love ideas and visions. And I've got 100 more in my brain that I've yet to get out into the world. But it kind of always was with me. My father is, and what well was, he's retired now, the chief of police. So he had, a government job, which is, a nice, safe path to go. But he always had a side business. And that's what intrigued me. He had a taxi company. Back when he was in high school, actually going further, he would fix up old cars and sell them. So buy junky cars, fix them up, and sell them. And then had a taxi company, and then he had a used car lot. And then he had another taxi company, and then back to used cars. And I always just watched him hustle, and I loved it. And then same with my brother, who's older than me. He was always an entrepreneur. We were based in New York. I'm from New York City suburb, and my brother started a clothing line. He was doing club promotions, and I just watched these two. And these aren't major businesses, right? These are just your average mom and pop kind of startups, if you will, with no real big legs until my brother got involved with a music magazine. And I was their first intern, and I was unpaid. I was doing it for college credit. And I just loved being in New York City. It gave me access to concerts and clubs and just like records and DJs and people that I loved. So I did it for free for a little while. And well, working for free in New York City is a struggle. So I said, how do I get paid? And my brother said, well, sell some ads in the magazine. So I did. And I worked on 20% commission only. And I was in Baruch College in Manhattan, and it was early 2000s, and they had just introduced Wi-Fi to the building. So I begged my father for a laptop. I needed it for school, and started emailing record labels all over Europe and Asia and the US and Canada to sell ads in this niche magazine. And that's how I got my start making money on my own.
Wow.
And that was the beginning, and it's evolved since then.
Yeah. And I mean, being young in New York City and like you said, concerts, music, fun. So sounds like fun experience.
It was.
Do you feel like I love the story and the background as well, but do you feel or maybe how do you feel about it? Did you have a support from the family and the parent about this way I'm going to become an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, or they were like more pushing you into, hey, get something more secure, stable, like many of our parents are, right?
Sure. Yeah, great question. And one I never really thought about. I have to give my parents a ton of credit. They let me be me. All of us, I have
Yeah.
there's three siblings. And, even though they had regular jobs, obviously I mentioned my father was also an entrepreneur. And you reminded me what he once told me. He said, go do and try what you want to do, and I'll always be a safety net. So he gave me that rope, that leeway to go fail. And I
Mm,
think most entrepreneurs never start out of fear of failure. And to have somebody say that to you, I wasn't going to be homeless. I was blessed to have a father who said, "Hey, there's a bed for you here. No matter how old you are, no matter how much you fail, there's a bed for you here, right?" And we all have these basic needs. First of them being, food, water, and shelter. And these are serious things we take for granted, most of us. But as an entrepreneur, you're like, well, whether it's subconscious or not, you're like, I don't want to lose my shelter, my home. I
Yes,
don't want to end up on the streets. Like that is the first fear that genuinely stops people from trying. So
yes,
thankfully, I grew up in that environment. I actually lived with my brother in Queens while we worked together. I paid my rent and did my portion, but I knew I had a bed and I knew I had food in the fridge. So I took that risk, and especially being in my 20s, I had that mindset of I'm young. I will go ruin my credit. I will borrow, beg, and steal to get where I need to go, and not steal. That's an expression. But
yeah.
I would do what I have to do, and I was not afraid of failure. And I think that was instilled in me as a young child.
Yeah. And I think there is on one side like this basic needs. Yes, okay, I will have a home where to sleep and food, but it's not just about that. It's about your family. Even if you fail, you kind of feel loved. And we are all craving that. You feel loved, you feel supported. And I
Yeah.
think that's a blessing. Many people don't have that, or they're not understood. It's not because our parents are not good, but it's just their mindset is different. They're raised in a different way, in a different time. So most of our parents are raised without internet. So they
Yeah. And
don't understand the modern jobs even these days sometimes. So we cannot
that's
expect
okay.
sometimes. Yeah, exactly. Mm.
That's okay. And what you just said is so important to understand that the parents come from a different generation and they don't understand. And that doesn't mean they don't love you. And that doesn't
Yeah,
mean that you have to follow exactly in their footsteps.
yeah,
Everyone knows that they're different than their parents. And I hope those who have kids know that your kids are different than you, both in their personality and in the year and era they are raised. So I think letting them be them is huge. And for you out there, if you feel like you're stopped or stuck, it's okay. You are for a reason. And yes, your parents did it to you, and that's okay. Like we have to admit that that's a thing that is moving our
yes,
subconscious towards perhaps safety and also wanting that need to satisfy our parents. There's a really fascinating study that a lot of people actually don't make more money than their parents. So even if they have the guts to break free and go the entrepreneurial route, there's a kind of a glass ceiling when it comes to making more than our parents. And once I learned that, I read that, oh my God, just a light went off in my head because I was plateaued at what I believed was my father's salary. I didn't know for sure what he made, but I had a rough idea. And I was really stuck on that amount for a long time. And just recognizing that and working on myself to say, I deserve better and I can do more. He wants me to do better than him. I immediately did. It was like an overnight light switch. And I'm really
yeah,
big, you mentioned on mindfulness and just having that awareness. So when you hear that from me, I want everyone to not just hear it, but actually put it into practice. And by that, grab a pen and paper and write down some notes. My parents made X and I want to make Y. And I allow myself to do so. Just that mantra that you can say to yourself and write down and journal over and over. That's all you have to do and believe it, and you'll break through that barrier.
yeah. Changing that paradigm, it takes time, but there are those aha moments that sometimes, I mean, I can talk about this forever. I've been on this journey also starting with this, books about the finances and money. And I remember
Mhm.
and then I started going to listening to Bob Proctor's seminars where he talks about these paradigms,
Yes.
right? Which was so powerful to experience. And then I remember I was in Dubai, I was still working a corporate job. I planned to resign. And I say, okay, let me just go and like try a luxury car, like not even luxury car, like Range Rover. Okay, Dubai is like a regular car, Range Rover. Yeah, it's not super luxury.
Yeah, Las
And
Vegas
my
too.
paradigm, I couldn't believe because I became aware that my paradigm, I was literally all of a sudden sick to my stomach. I couldn't go. Like I had physical symptoms that was stopping me to go because I couldn't
Yes.
subconsciously believe that I am someone who can just walk in and buy this car. And that was one, I'm having goosebumps. That was like such a huge moment for me because I realized, and I'm go-getter. I'm not someone who give in their fears. If I don't know, I know I don't know. I will figure it out. But there was
Mhm.
all of us, we have these paradigms that are really stopping us, and they put limits to us about earning money. And so how did you
Yeah.
switch? Was this one of the moments you decided to switch to real estate? You built obviously your, a lot of success in real estate. Why you
Yeah.
decided to go towards
Actually,
real?
yes.
Yeah.
Give or take, around the same time. So at that time, I had moved to Las Vegas. I was living in an area called Summerlin. My wife and I had a nice house that we started a business together in. So at this time, I was still selling advertisements remotely. Now I had moved to Vegas, but it was a print magazine that didn't really adjust to online media fast enough, and my income was going down. So I helped my wife start a wedding invitation design studio. We did high-end wedding invitations and then other graphic services, logos, websites, stationery. Started from our bedroom, and we built that business up from there. And around that time is when I got my real estate license. So at this point, I kind of had three businesses: a real estate license, a design studio, and was selling advertisements commission only. A lot of you entrepreneurs out there probably will relate to that. And I think that was also me just finding myself. So, I was committed. I stopped selling the advertisements. I committed to my wife and my business, and we built it up. And that's when I had that paradigm shift. I think that business was making a little bit of money. I think it was making that amount. I want to say it was $100,000 was that barrier that I was trying to break through, and we got it there, and we plateaued. So, I got the real estate license. That was a struggle in the beginning. And if anyone out there is in real estate, join a team and or get a mentor. And I think any business, any entrepreneur, get a mentor. Once I did that, everything changed. That's when I truly broke through, not just past the parents, I had done that, but I broke through into being a high earner. I got coaching, I got mentorship. That was, anyone says you can't afford it, you're wrong. You can't not afford to do it. If you find the right coach, of course, they will show you a well-worn path to success. That was the biggest breakthrough for me. And Navina, you talked
Yeah.
about something I want to touch upon, that you were sick
Yeah.
to your stomach with the nerves of selling luxury cars and being around that
No,
environment.
just going
That's
to
a
buy or imagining myself I
Oh,
can
going to
drive a
buy your
luxury
first
car. Yeah,
luxury car.
yeah,
Yeah, I know that feeling too. Do I deserve this, right? And
yeah.
but you said a phrase "sick to my stomach," and I don't think that's a metaphor. You physically felt sick, and
Yes.
that's a big part of my journey. I actually did too. I have ulcerative colitis,
Hmm.
which is an autoimmune disease in which you have, ulcers up and down your intestinal tract. Some people have Crohn's, goes all the way up into their esophagus, stomach. Mine was in my intestines. And yeah, it was a physical ailment. It is a physical ailment, but I truly believe I gave it to myself due to stress. So it was latent in my stomach. I always had kind of a bad stomach, if you will, and stomach issues. And then I think the stress of being an entrepreneur and needing that need to succeed in the design studio um, drove me to illness. And that
Yeah.
was a transformative moment in my life in which I redefined what success was for me.
Yeah.
And anyone out there who's just so driven in the grind and hustle culture, I want you to reflect on that for a moment, that true wealth is health. Health is
Yes.
wealth.
Yes.
So you are already wealthy. If you are listening to this podcast, driving a car, at the gym, upright, moving and shaking, you already won. So just recognize that. And when you're in that spirit of gratitude for your health, everything else starts to come to you. So I really feel that I started attracting more and more. And I actually got more successful by doing less. I became more aware of what was important in life. And I rearranged my whole life and schedule around my priorities, around my health, around exercise, yoga, tai chi, walks. Now, thankfully, I cycle, I run, I lift weights. These are things that I focus on. I focus on what I put in my body, both physically, food, mental, literature, not scrolling TikTok, not watching regular television and news. All that junk food, physical and mental, will make you sick. So start with your health. You want to
Yeah.
be rich? Start with your health, because try starting a business from a hospital. I was in the hospital twice. I was bedridden for 6 months. My poor wife had to take over the business and then take care of me. And it's just an ugly situation that's not sustainable. So do not grind yourself into the ground. That's my
Mm,
main message to you listening.
wow. I love it. And it's so true. And they say how you do everything is how you do anything. And if we want to be successful, like you have to also respect your time, you have to respect your body, you have to respect your health. Of course, we're not perfect, and we
No,
like to indulge in some small things and desserts, or
sure,
some nice food, and there is nothing wrong with
sure.
that. But having that discipline, I think, developed in all areas of your life, it's so important. So important, like you said, reading the
Yeah.
right books, developing yourself, personal development, your family, your friends, church if you're a believer, and
Yes.
so on. So, and your health. I think finding time for exercise, it is so, so
Yeah.
important.
You mentioned we talked about that basic needs level earlier on,
Yeah.
shelter, food, water, and there's also purpose.
Yes.
And there's like, let's call it spiritual fulfillment. You
Yes.
mentioned religion, whatever that means for you, spiritual fulfillment.
Yes.
What makes you happy, right? So I know for me, like these type of conversations make me very happy. I enjoy deep conversation. I
Yeah.
enjoy outdoor exercising, even if it's just a walk, golf. And I wasn't giving myself these things because I had to put out more work and effort and sell more and be in the office. And it was taking away my spiritual freedom, my happiness, who I was as a human being was being secondary to who I was as an entrepreneur. We often identify as an entrepreneur. It's a badge of honor that I worked 80 hours this week. No, it's not. It's not. It means you haven't really thought things through and you're making up for a good plan with effort. And that will only take you so far in life. You're not going to be able to sustain that in the long run. And I'm telling you from experience, you might say, yes, I can. I've been doing it and you're strong. I get all that. It will catch up to you. It's only a matter of time. So hear what I'm saying from experience. You can't run a business from the hospital bed, as I said earlier.
Mm.
So yeah, that was a huge turning point as well. Like it's so ironic that the less I work, the happier and more successful I am. And I don't want to make it sound like I don't work. This is a thing I
Of
deal with
course.
every day. I make myself exercise. I make myself sleep 8 hours. I make myself go to bed, drink water. It's a daily practice. So you have to practice on that. Pretend like you're a business as a human, as a body and a soul. Like you can't just be, running advertising all day long. You're going to run out of money. And if you get all these sales because the ads work, well, you have no operations, you have no foundation, you have no systems, you have no accounting. So you can't just be out there selling all day. It's the same thing like with yourself. You can't be running all day because even if it works, you're not going to be prepared to handle what comes from that quote unquote success.
I love that. I love how you put it together, and well said. And I love that it comes also from male perspective. I'm someone who I love working with men, and I don't know, I always feel like there is feminine and masculine energy for sure, but I was always like grind, grind, grind. And last couple of years, I think last 2 years, things started to really shift for me as well, because I started
Mm.
realizing, wait, I'm doing all of this to enjoy my life. And then, like you say, the more you relax, the more you're not in that survival mode or just hustling all day, but you really are fulfilled and happy, then, things are getting easier for you and faster. And it's like over the years, things starting multiplying. I don't know if for you it was the same, but you kind of now they're doing 10 times, 100 times more, which is insane. And you are feeling
Yes.
better, and, and you are fulfilled
Yeah.
more and
And you
happier.
know why that is? That's a law of nature. If you can picture, are you familiar with the yin yang symbol?
Yes.
So, or yin and yang. So, yin is feminine energy, yang is masculine energy. Yang is activity, doing, creating. It's a rolling river. Yin is the ocean. It's calm and it's still very powerful, but it's calm. And then if you picture that symbol again, the white portion is yin. There's that little black circle in it. So within yin, there's always a little bit of yang. Yin doesn't mean just laying around being lazy. It's kind
Yeah.
of rest to be active. And then on the yang, you have that black side that's got the little white circle. So even when you're being super active and out there, remember to kind of breathe and relax in it all. It's a beautiful symbol that I never really knew what it meant. I thought it was some woo-woo kind of Far East thing. But when you analyze what it means, it's like, oh, that's how to live life.
Yes.
It's not just be masculine all the time or just be feminine or just be active and just be lazy. You got to do both all in one
Yeah.
and have that
Yeah.
flow. And when you're in that flow, that's what you're talking about. Boom, we're more successful because we're in flow.
Exactly. And there is no resistance, there is no pushing, some people are talking you're attracting things, which is true. And I think what's important really in entrepreneurship is, you don't know how you're going to make it, you don't know how you're going to figure it out, but you just have to have like deeply that like knowing inside of you and then make
Mhm.
peace. I think maybe you can relate when you were younger and hustling and working so hard. I was the same. And then
Mhm.
you have this feeling like I have to prove my existence by being entrepreneur, like you said. Like I have
Yeah.
to get this much money, and I'm not breaking this limit, and I have to get new deal. And then I think when you become at some point, I'm sure this happened for you when you break through as well. Like you start feeling like, wait, I am already this. I already achieved. I'm enough. I don't have to prove anything. I want to enjoy the journey. Then kind of
Yeah.
everything start like pouring, yeah,
Yeah.
pouring in.
You're one of my favorite quotes that really hit home was dissatisfaction is a symptom of the driven. And we are driven entrepreneurs, and therefore we are constantly dissatisfied. And gosh, that's so true of me. And it's so hard to stomach that, no pun intended, because the drive is what got me where I am. The drive got me the financial freedom, the house, everything I wanted. So I don't want to stop that, but I need to learn to be satisfied with what I have achieved. And whether that's starting from the beginning, that you have shelter, food, and water, and a healthy body and five senses, that's something to be grateful for. Or if you have your mansion, or you've made your first million, or whatever your first goal is, your first 100,000, your first sale, like celebrate it. You'd be like, yes,
Yeah.
have that feminine energy come in and go, woo, okay, let's party, let's relax, let's celebrate, and then get back to work. But do not just go from victory to victory to victory. It like totally waters down your wins.
Yeah.
Just that whole yin and yang symbol again. Like go get the win and then relax, and go get the next win and relax and celebrate. And then they start compounding.
Yeah. And I remember having conversation with one very good friend of mine. She's an excellent coach as well. And we talked about this because we would she's also very very driven, and then of course you have to become more mindful and understand, and she's working with leaders as well. And we had this conversation where you achieve one goal. Let's say I want to write a book, and you write a book, you're happy for one day, and then you're like depressed. You're like, now what? I need to have a new goal,
Oh,
right? And we
yeah.
were like, we had this because we experienced the same thing, right? We were writing books at the same time. We got a lot of credibility speaking at big events and everything, and we were like, what is happening here? And I think that you have to find that fulfillment again. For me, is I reach now the stage, of course we're constantly growing and developing, but I reach the
Yeah.
stage now where I'm like, you know what, I don't want to prove anything even to myself anymore. Like
Mm,
I'm enough by existing. I'm not afraid. I used to be afraid that if I stop working for 1 week, like the world will stop, like I will lose clients, lose sales, like I'm losing time, I'm pushing you. You're laughing
yeah.
because I think you feel me, right? And
I
I was
still feel that
literally,
way.
I'm like, really? And now I'm like, wait, nothing will stop, right? Especially as a woman, you want to have kids, and then you're panicking. Like, I'm literally
Mm,
years ahead panicking, how I'm going to manage and work, I'm going to lose my career. And then I'm like, what am I doing, right? It's like, I'm not losing anything. I can build both. I can do both. I can, balance and
yeah.
enjoy, because why am I even wanting to reach these millions and billions or whatever we want, is maybe to enjoy life, and then life passes and we don't even enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, you have to start to solve that problem is defining success on your own. So again, pen and paper, success for me means what? Blank.
Yeah.
And we're taught to think it's, being a unicorn and $1 billion valuation. Uh, that's not for everybody. Like you have to admit that, hey, I'm good with X. I don't need all that. I'd rather be, if I'm a great mom and I got a business that does 100,000 a year, I'm Warren Buffett. Like that's my Warren Buffett. That's my Elon Musk. Like that's a great definition of success. I like to say success starts within. It's within your heart and soul and what it means to you. So don't be trapped in defining other people's success. Define it yourself.
I love it. Thank you, Michael, so much. I am enjoying this conversation very much, but we have to wrap it up soon. So I want to ask you maybe to share with us a story. I love to ask about some mistakes. It can be in building your business or sales, something that was transformative for you, that was a aha moment, maybe even funny and like, oh, I wish I knew that earlier. So do you have a story to share with us as we're
Oh my
wrapping up?
God. Mistakes? Yeah, which one? I mean, like failure is absolutely part of the process. I don't remember all of them because I try to just learn the lesson and move on. But I will start with saying every one of you entrepreneur needs to be prepared and plan to fail. That it's going to happen. I quote this gentleman a lot. I have a podcast called The Mindful Agent, and one of my guests named Jim Slack, his annual business plan includes two failure points. He says this is what possibly could happen. If not this, another failure. It'll probably happen around this time. And he puts the failure in the business plan. And when you hit that failure, you go, "Oh, cool! I was prepared for this. I knew it was going to happen. It's not a surprise." So yeah, the one story I'll share on the real estate side that was a total just bonehead move. I was getting into real estate development, and I did at the time I was working on a small apartment building in downtown Las Vegas. I had partnered with somebody who was a construction manager. He built an arena here in town. He built a couple other major projects. I was impressed by his resume, and he linked up with a couple of gentlemen, and we were looking to develop a bigger project. We wanted to do more than just small multifamily, and I think that greed blinded me a little bit. And these guys, we're sitting down, we had a few meetings, and I'm kind of trusting my partner's lead here because I'm not, I'm a real estate agent. I'm not exactly a construction or a developer yet. I'm just learning the ropes. So I'm following along, pretending like I know what they're talking about, nodding in agreement. And then these guys asked for $25,000 to invest in this development project. They needed some capital for travel and this, that, and the other thing. Well, I put my half in, 12,500 bucks, and never saw a dime back. And those guys quickly disappeared out of my life. I don't think I don't think they hustled us out of 25 grand in the sense that the whole thing was a scam. I just think they didn't really know what they were doing, and I wanted to believe that they did. And that was just money poof in the air. Talked to my attorney, and he's like, "You want to pay me 20 grand to chase 12,500, or you want to let it go?" And I'm like, "Oh, all right." So that was a deep, deep cut at the time. That was a lot of money. And I learned my lesson to, really trust but verify. Don't get excited by the shiny object.
Oh, so much. And now these days with social media and, people selling you lifestyle, and we are seeing then, billionaires, and then you realize they're arrested, there's money
Yeah,
laundering and many other
yeah,
things, and you're like, wow, but people are
yeah.
falling for it. And I love that advice. Thank you,
The
Michael, so much.
catfishers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for this conversation. I really enjoyed. And yes, we want to invite listeners to connect with you. What is the best way to connect with you and reach out
Sure.
to
Yeah. If
you?
you want to go deeper on these concepts, head over to michaelcoxen.com. I've got some free resources on how to integrate mindfulness into your business. You could book a coaching call with me there. And I also share daily tips like this, along with real estate tips on all the major social platforms. I'm just at Michael Coxen.
Perfect, Michael. Thank you so much. And everyone, thank you for listening. As always, please give us some like hearts, download the episode, subscribe if you haven't already. And as I always say, share with at least one another entrepreneur that can benefit from this information. Thank you for listening, and I see you in the next episode.